Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and welcome back to my Let's Play of AGEoD's new DLC for To End All Wars, Breaking the Deadlock. We're joining midway through the campaign. I think we're like 5 or 6 turns in or something like that. We've launched a couple of pretty unsuccessful attacks. Bulgaria's just joined the war on the side of the Central Powers, and we're preparing for a major drive on Belgrade itself. We've already fought one battle there, and we're defeated. We've got the Bulgarians driving for Niš in the south, and yeah, that's basically the situation. So without any further ado, let's jump back in. I'm butchering the pronunciation, losing heavily, so I think we're going to need to try and pull out there. It's the only fight during the day, so we'll fall back to Kataro. We've got this force here in Sarajevo if we need some emergency reinforcements of some kind. Meanwhile, it's 9 days out still from Pirot. Meanwhile, these guys... Okay, so they're going to launch an attack here on the defensives, or the defenses of Pirot. And this one... Alright, so this province is falling into our hands. Meanwhile, the attack on Serbia, or Belgrade, should begin here very shortly. We've got a whole bunch of troops converging on the capital here very shortly. So I don't think I'm going to fiddle with anything. I think I'm just going to... Oh, wait, one moment. I thought these guys should have been there by now. Anyway, so there we are. We're still moving into Serbia from the east. Hopefully we can defeat Bulgaria this next turn, and we'll just go ahead and end it one more turn here. Just one more turn. Again, I'm not quite sure. I didn't see a whole lot of description on why I was devastated on those river attacks, but I guess if you're attacking over a river against an entrenched enemy force, that would make some sense to lose extremely heavy casualties, and if you were defeated and pushed back, it would make more sense. So these guys should be here next turn, and then I think what we'll do, we're going to launch an all-out attack once these guys arrive. They're 1 day away. Third Army's already there, and the Reserve Corps is already there. So we're going to launch an all-out attack here on Belgrade with all of our forces that we've got in place, especially because the French have arrived. Stupid French. The Western Entente force has arrived at Verona. The British have landed some troops near Salonka. We've got some troops trying to block their route. I think if we move forward and take Virginia, or whatever this is, that'll cut them off their rail link north. Should seriously delay any relief force from being able to get there in time. We can also move on Niš now with the First Army and the Bulgarian High Command. Moving on Niš simultaneously. Both should take about 10 days. And both will launch all-out assaults on the enemy force there. We can take Niš. Again, we cut the rail line so the Entente won't have the direct route toward Belgrade, and should help us end this war sooner. So we've got several all-out attacks, a little bit of risk involved there. These guys should be falling back on Kataro or whatever it's called. And yeah, I think that's about it. We've got a Grenadier Brigade or Division or whatever at Novi Sad. So I think I'll move them south here. I don't know if they're like an emergency reserve or like an elite guard unit. Anyway, so the events... halted an attack on Belgrade. Not enough combat-ready men. Alright, so we're going to go into mid-November now, or late November, I guess. This campaign plays very quickly, probably because I'm just really bad at the game. So the British and French are going to have to run into our Bulgarian troops, unless they're going to try to Another Austrian defeat at the Battle of Belgrade Fort. We lost almost half our force. The enemy lost almost 20,000, but still over 100,000 combat effectives. Pretty bad defeat there. Well, we inflicted more losses on them than they on us, so now the Serbians have lost another 18,000 men to our 13,000. But apparently we still were defeated. So there's that. That's day 2. So the Entente's trying to go around Dorian rather than fight us in a battle here. Meanwhile, we're trying to get up here quick. It'll slow us down, and we can't force march, does it look like. Lame. You know, moving on Nish. And I'm still not any good at this game. Let's frickin' attack Belgrade. And let's overwhelm the thing, okay? I know my troops are exhausted. Their cohesion is bad. Whoa, as I slide down the screen. Don't let your mouse go. But I want to win. So I guess just smashing your head against a brick wall isn't the best tactic, huh? You don't move these guys. Nice, they can move in 7 days via that, or what's rail? 12 days via rail, 7 via boat. We're gonna take the boat route. We'll send these guys. We gotta maintain our flank. These guys are recovering a bit though, so that's nice. We pulled out. Okay. And the attack on Nish should hopefully begin soon. I don't know if I should move north toward the Iron Gates or not, with this force driving the Serbians back. So I guess we'll just kind of keep it where it is, because if I move west, it exposes my flank, then cut me right off. Even though it's tempting to just go for it and cut off the Serbians, we'll just go ahead and end this turn. You can see here the strength of our units is the little red icon on the far left. I believe cohesion is the blue one in the middle, and morale is we drove the enemy back. On day 3 there. Capture Belgrade in Serbia is a tremendous day for our nation. Do we capture Bulgaria? Or Belgrade? Huzzah. Looks like the Serbians must have pulled out. I think. It's not quite clear to me. I don't see, let's see here, Belgrade Central Power Harvest. No. No, it says it's under disputed ownership still, but we've got over 50% of it. So that's good. Take a look at the events. Capture of Belgrade. After a victorious street fighting, the Serbian capital Belgrade's finally fallen into the hands of the Central Powers. I don't think we've taken the fort yet. The capture of Niš. The capture of the city of Niš seals the fate of northern Serbia. So we've cut off basically the northern half of Serbia. And retreat through Albania. The fall of the city Niš cuts Serbia in two and leaves no other choice to Marshal Putnik other than to retreat south, or if the road is blocked by the advancing Bulgarians, through the high mountains of Albania and to the coast, where the Allied fleet will help evacuate the survivors. Okay. So the Serbians, because of our capture of Niš, basically cutting off their entire rail support to the south of Serbia, are going to have to retreat west and possibly to the Albanian coast to try and be picked up by the British fleet. Our objective, obviously, should be to cut them off and prevent that from occurring. Easier said than done, however. I'm going to try and move this force in Sarajevo south to Ketaro so we can move on Sinjeta, because I believe, well, no, they've got Duranzo, so they can retreat through there. But that's another one of our objectives. If we take a look at F9, we can see we've captured Belgrade, so that's the #1 objective. We captured Niš, that's the #2 objective. We have lost, let's see, we've lost 188,000 men. The Entente has lost Is that really? Oh, we've taken 18,500 prisoners. Where's the enemy losses? Oh, they've lost 116,000. So not quite as lopsided as it feels. So morale, if we get to 200, that's a win level. Capital Berlin, well, that's not really applicable. So overall, yeah, overall, pretty good start. Anyway, that's kind of a long battle here. You can see these icons, like I said, mean that our troops are pretty worn down. Red, again, being strength. I believe blue is cohesion. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And then green being morale. So morale's high, but the troops are pretty well exhausted, or at least some of them are. The Serbians are pulling back. You can see they've pulled back to Rihija, or however you pronounce that. It started 2 turns ago. I guess I didn't realize. I remember reading through there saying that. And there's no real direct retreat south because the Bulgarian army is cutting that off. So, again, they'll try and probably retreat west. So I think the next step for us is to kind of advance west, I guess, to try and cut the Serbian force off from being able to retreat through Albania and then fight on in Greece, as was the case. Be interesting to see what the Entente does here in the south, to see if they try and do anything at all. And our Bulgarian force here is going to move on Vrajanya. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and move this Bulgarian force west to Pristania, Novopazar, and maybe, we can cut them off from Albania in that direction. We'll find out, though. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this Bulgarian force here yet. We may drive north to try and hit the enemy as they withdraw. But we need to leave a good enough sized force to defend Nish should the enemy attack. So I think maybe a western advance toward Novopazar and toward Sinjeda from the other direction is probably the best route to go. Meanwhile, the troops who've just taken Belgrade may need a little bit of R&R. You can see these guys are struggling, and there's this Serbian army here in the north in these woods. I'm not sure what they're doing. I've probably cut them off, seeing as I've haven't taken all of this province yet. So these are all in disputed ownership, so we'll keep the stances the same. But anyway, that's me rambling.
Anyway, that just about does it for a little brief overview of where we're at. Call it halftime for this video if you want. And I think there's only one more thing to do, and that's end the turn. Okay, so here we go. We'll see if anything actually happens this turn. I didn't really order any aggressive actions, so there may not be any fighting or any battles. Wait, what? Those British troops, are they in behind me? 1 regular, 4 supplies. Oh, these guys are going to be out of supply, aren't they? Well, have they not taken this town? Oh, that's why. Because it's still mostly Serbian land. That's probably why they could move through it. It's also why we can't move supply through it. Although our troops are still in pretty good shape if we look at it here. It doesn't say they're out of supply, so maybe because they're adjacent with the province where supply can move through, they're fine. It'll be interesting to see if the British go for whatever this city is. I'm not going to even try and pronounce it. Our guys are still trying to get to Vanya. Well, they're here, but it's still Serbian controlled. But we've got a direct road through here, so I'm not worried if the British move up into this province, because hopefully we can take Vranja before they get there. Meanwhile, if we look at the supply situation a little bit further north, we've got supply through Nish. It's a major city, so we're fine there. The enemy army still looks like they're staying north near Raja, or at least they haven't withdrawn from it yet. Let's see here. We control 87% of the province, so we may have to stay here just a little bit longer. But that's okay, because some of these armies need to rest and relax for a little bit here. We've got, apparently we've got a new division here that just showed up in Belgrade, but it's locked. And the reserve corps has arrived. But yeah, these guys could use a little bit more time to rest and recuperate. Now, interestingly enough, these guys on the flank or up here and further north are probably going to have to withdraw or risk being cut off. These guys still disputed ownership here, but pretty clear that we own the town. We could drive west with this small Bulgarian force. It's only a division by the looks of it. But we could drive west on Velika Plana, but again, we'd be pretty darn close to the main Serbian force, so that seems a little bit risky. And apparently a pretty large Serbian force has reached Pristania. Not large enough probably to dislodge this force of ours, but still large enough to cause some concern, especially if the British are coming up from the south. They could drive us back. Potentially they could even drive on Sofia, although we could certainly rail back in time. Yeah, that's kind of the situation. The beauty of these shorter, smaller campaigns is that you can play them real quick. Kind of feels like I'm speeding through, but really, if you look at it, we're just kind of being a little bit patient. I mean, you don't want to race through things, and I don't want to just charge forward until I've gotten total control. I mean, it could drive south on Obervanik and Raja, or whatever it's called. Maybe we will do that. Let's see here. We'll move these guys south. It's going to take them more than a turn to get there. We'll move the Germans kind of a little bit west. It'll take them more than a turn to get there. The reserve corps, I'm not sure who we want to attack. I think we'll keep the reserve corps in Belgrade. And we'll keep the 3rd Army Corps as well in Belgrade as well. It's kind of a reserve. You know, these guys kind of move toward the Serbian main army, the 4th Reserve Corps. And so can these guys. Well, actually, maybe we can merge these guys. Let's see here. We've got one thing that's still required is your ability to, command and command the forces under you. So if you have too large of a force for too inexperienced a general, there's a penalty. Now, in this case, the penalty is just 4% because they're only 1 over the required command. So we'll merge those 2 armies, and then we'll move them in. It makes a pretty large army coming from Pozorvik. And, maybe I'd be better off moving on Velika Plana, because at least then I could threaten to cut these guys off. But I think I'd rather hit them frontally, maybe do some more damage, because again, the Serbians are probably too strong if they concentrate their force against any one of our troops. We could move in and try and cut them off from supply, but again, I'm worried that if they fall back into me, they'll wipe out, some of our forces like they did before. The Donau Division appears to be a naval unit. I don't know if there's any way for it to... Oh, it's just a transport. Well, I think it's a... I don't know. Maybe that's a transport. I'm not sure. I've never seen a river transport in the game before. These Serbians here have to be pretty close to getting cut off as well. Yeah, they are. If we just move in here, these guys are going to be cut off from supply. Of course, then they could just move in behind us. So, there's that. We don't have any troops to protect our rear, and this city is worth something, so we'll stay there. We'll start kind of digging in. Meanwhile, we'll advance these guys to prevent the Serbians from too easily escaping, I guess. And then these forces will be freed up once we take Obervanik, because it'll cut off the Serbians in Lanitska. Hopefully, anyway, that's the theory. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. I don't really have anything else that I think I need to do at this point. Looks like the British and the French are taking separate routes north. Our second army should hopefully have time, should be able to slow down the enemy if they try and go north. But we'll see. I guess we're gonna end this turn and kind of play it somewhat passive, and we'll see what happens next turn. So it looks like the Serbians are falling back from Pristania because they're no longer there. The French, meanwhile, their force is moving north. They could move north through Pristania and totally avoid our force here. Do we have this province yet? Let's take a look. All right. So we now have supply running through Vizhanya. Also running through here. So I wonder if the British are probably going to be running into some supply situations because the only route they have is through mountains and over rivers to get supplies to this force in Ishtibub. Meanwhile, the French are moving toward Pristania. Again, I could advance on Pristania, but I'd be worried that the enemy would come in behind us. Still, the more we can do to hit them before they advance south, I would say, is important. So I think the first army, we'll leave the Bulgarian High Command to kind of secure the rear and hold Nish, and then we'll move the Bulgarian First Army, the main fighting force here after it's had some time to recover, move them west. And I wonder if we can force march them. They're going to be fatigued, but if we can get them, it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, okay. So no level of movement makes any kind of difference as far as how quick they get there. Lame. But anyway, so they're going to be moving toward this province here. Meanwhile, I'm thinking we'll drive these guys north as well. The French could come in behind us. Oh, wait. They've got to move this way. So they've got to move over here anyway. And there's no way to get them there faster than 17 days. Okay. Skopje's another... I think that's another one of our objective cities, isn't it? Yeah, it's the second most valuable city here is down in the south in Skopje. This is, I guess, the new enemy capital. So why don't we... I don't know what to do. The French have supplies coming up. I really am tempted to dash this way, but I think the British may fall back on us, in which case that would be bad if we had been cut off from supply. What about if we move this way? No, they still got to move through that province. Well, actually, wait a minute. That might suggest... No, they can't fall back that way, so they may... I don't know if the enemy can cross this river into... directly there to cut us off, but I guess the next course is just to move this way. It takes 17 days, so if the enemy does move, it'll be a couple turns anyway. Meanwhile, just kind of attempting to cut across Serbia. Meanwhile, these guys are all still moving into position. And you know what I will do is I can move that force in where is this? Whatever this province is, Nigotin. Because even if the Serbians move south, we've still got supply through Pazaravak or whatever it's called. So we'll do that. It'll take 15 days because it's winter and everyone moves really slow in the winter. Probably going to make attacking more difficult as well. But yeah, that's where we're at. We're just kind of continuing the slow move. You can see that a good deal of the Serbian force in Raja is very, very weak. Their strength is all the way down. And I'm wondering if they're cut off from supply. I'm not 100% sure how supply generates, but Nish has to be their base of supply, and that just got taken. Their entire rail line toward the south and toward other external sources of supply from the Allies has been taken, and their only source of supply would be coming up from the Albanian coast or from these other Serbian cities via road, which has to make the supply situation pretty darn bad for them. So we'll just go ahead and end this turn again, and again, we're kind of cruising through this campaign, but it's a lot more digestible than a lot of AGEoD games. So it's a lot of fun. All right, so you can see here December 16th to the 21st. Our troops are moving. They're getting close. It'll be, what, 5 more days until they're into their positions. So we should have some battles here shortly. One thing I've been neglecting is these little event notifications. So foul weather and exhaustion is hurting some of our troops. Meanwhile, some entrenchments are being improved. Mainly our troops. So that's good, I guess, although I'm not worried about an enemy attack too much. And it looks like we've got a Montenegro troopa, which has been raised. The Montenegro Corp. So I'm wondering if maybe we should make a move on to Nyeta again. And I know I'm butchering the pronunciation there, but I'm thinking if we move all these guys at once. Let's see here. What's the command situation? Required command 5. Provided command 0. Oh, wait, that's the castle. Infantry troop. Really? Huh. We'll just move in with Montenegro troop then, because there's plenty of command there. And now we've got a force of some 200. And, yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to get them there. It's going to take a little bit of time to get there, but hey, you know, we've got a much stronger force now, so hopefully we can take this city. It is one of the 2 remaining objective cities that we've got, and morale, the enemy morale looks like it's going down, I guess. Our victory points are plus 16 per turn, so we've got 303 to the enemy, 213, and the enemy's gaining 10 per turn, while we're gaining 16 per turn. Morale is at 91 for the enemy, ours is at 112. Friendly and enemy objectives. So the enemy objectives are Belgrade, Skopje, and Salonka. They still have 2 of them. Our objectives are Skopje, Sinjeta, Niš, and Belgrade. We've got Belgrade, don't have Skopje. So again, the enemy's going to probably rapidly improve their entrenchments. Unfortunately, I don't really think we've got the means to dislodge them right now. I'm hoping this enemy unit might be out of supply. Again, they may be able to track some supply through this area, but the road network has got to be pretty weak. And looks like we're going to have some battles going on here next turn. I don't want to do an all-out attack. We'll just do an offensive posture. Enemy has a pretty good force here, 400 firepower, but again, their health is low. Their cohesion is very strong. These guys will arrive in 10 days, 5 days. Yikes. Synchronize. I don't know if that'll make a difference if they're coming from different provinces. They also have different HQs, so it probably won't make a difference. So I think what we'll do is we'll set these guys in a defensive posture. So at least, you know, when they get there, maybe they can hold out against the enemy until the other forces show up. That's my thought. And yeah, we'll go ahead and end one more turn, and then we'll probably wrap this video up. Probably going to get some battles here, but we'll see. Holy crap. So, bloody battle. German defeat. Max von Gallowitz loses over 50% of his army. The Serbians lose over 40,000 men in the Battle of Obrvanik. So I guess we didn't advance there strong enough. The Serbians just always seem to have more men. They always seem to have 140,000 men under their command no matter what. But yeah, it was a pretty rough fight. Looks like we lost an army corps. But yeah, pretty rough fight. Serbians certainly lost heavily as well. Victory, a follow-on victory against Radimir Putnik. 110,000 Austrians fought the Battle of Raha, so it looks like some of Putnik's force was engaged in Raha, and probably as a result of the bloody engagement they had earlier in the same turn, the Austrians, while losing heavier losses, did manage to drive to defeat the Serbians, who lost another 16,000 men. it looks like the Serbians are withdrawing here as we're trying to kind of close the gap from Nigotin. Our force has not yet arrived in Raha with, man, one thing I'm doing, I will say, is I'm coordinating all of this horribly. The 3rd Army Corps lost very heavily. I think we'll throw the Reserve Corps in with them. Max is out their command. Or no, they didn't. Yeah, and they've been stationary. Never mind. But the 2nd Army, I believe, or is it the 11th Army? I can't read. That army lost very heavily as well. But if we take Obrvanik, which is currently disputed, we'll cut off the Serbian force that cut us to pieces coming across the river there. So that should make them easier to deal with. I'm not sure if I should be like crossing these rivers here and trying to cut off these forces. I've had a negative experience with crossing rivers with an enemy to my front, so it makes me kind of hesitant to do that. But Putnik's force is certainly being chewed up, so it should make it easier if they decide to try and move on Nish. You can see they've fallen back again. So yeah, that's the situation here in December. If we look at the victory situation, our morale is unchanged. We continue to gain more victory points, although we've lost almost 100,000 more men than our enemy. We haven't captured 18,000. I don't see anything where it says how many of ours they've captured. But yeah, our victory point total is higher than theirs, so that's a plus, I suppose. We're gaining more victory points per turn than them. Their combat power is 61, so they're significantly less than us, but we're very dispersed. If we look through here, you can see we lost a battle in Obrvanik, we won a battle in Raha, and yeah, also in the south, you can see here the French have a pretty strong force at Skopje. They've fallen back, it would appear, while we've moved into Vargas. We haven't yet established a supply line through it, but the enemy has a very strong force here in the south in Skopje, it would appear. Also looks like the British may have, yeah, the British have fallen back toward Dorian. I'm not sure how strong their force is, but I don't think I want to attack it with just the Strumnitz defense. I'm hoping they fall further back, because as it stands right now, they're probably suffering from being out of supply. And maybe they're going to fall back to try and, defend Skopje. I'm not sure. I don't even know why I'm calling it. It's not Skopje. Solonkia. Yeah, so that's the situation right now. It looks like we moved forward on Kopanovic, or whatever it's called. And still a lot of Serbian forces all around here. Managing this advance is a little bit difficult. I'm hoping Putnik's force has lost so many men that they just won't be able to replace it, but I guess we'll find out. Anyway, that's enough for this video. We're approaching to, 35, 40 minutes, somewhere in that range. So I appreciate you tuning in to this part 2. We're into December, so we're probably about halfway through, almost 2 full months. So, 8 turns, 9 turns in? And until next time, guys, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.